Respect, bro.
Great work.
Appreciate it.
Great work. It was good.
We're gonna train again. Easy.
There is a saying, I would say, there's a saying that a happy fighter makes a dangerous fighter, in the sense that if you put them in the right environment and their brain is receptive of what they're being taught, they're going to be more in tune with what they're going through.
3, 2, 1, let's go. Wow. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So I'm actually like, give me more, give me more, give me more.
That's his mindset in everything he does, whether it's training, whether it's work, whether it's helping other people.
With fight night just days away, Anthony Joshua appears completely dialed in, and all signs from inside his camp suggest he's approaching this matchup with total focus and zero complacency.
You know, so I use YouTube a lot, where there's a lot of videos what I listen to and I update it, and I can always revert back to it when I'm feeling low to get a bit of motivation. Fear comes in many forms. There's some things that I can't get over and I'll always be scared of, but I take the positive from it. Like, I'm never so confident I'm gonna win. It's probably the fact that I'm scared to fail.
Coaches aren't meant to understand that you're tired. Coaches aren't meant to understand that you have emotions. Coaches are just supposed to look at you like you're a machine, and they just want results. I may be tired, but I just got to bite down on my gum shield, because if I can perform to an elite level when I'm tired, imagine what I can do when I've got rest and when I've got energy. I've been through them days where I'm looking for sympathy and you just don't get it. It's well, but you don't get it. I always knew there could be the most talented fighter out there, especially in our industry. If they can't sell tickets, they can't put bombs on seats, they'll never showcase their skills to the world, no matter how good they are. And that's why I say you have to have marketability and you have to have ability. And when you bring those two worlds together, it's a recipe for success.
There's nothing relaxed or show-like about his approach. Joshua has been grinding through focus sessions, refining his conditioning, tightening his combinations, and locking into a disciplined, high-pressure strategy. This isn't about spectacle or headlines. It's about control, precision, and eliminating every possible weakness before the opening bell.
Stay humble means treat the person who is beneath you in a different class to the same person who's above you in a different class. It's an equal playing field, and we have to treat everyone with the same respect. And that's why, you know, people fight for equality. And I think that's important. And that's why I mix stay hungry and stay humble together in such a fine way that they gel together well. Stay hungry, stay humble.
Joshua understands how big this moment is. The spotlight is harsh, the expectations are enormous, and that's precisely why his mindset has been strictly professional from start to finish.
Ah, shit, and again. Good, and again. Good, 2 more. 1 more of them. Good.
You have to find it within yourself. If I've got to tell you to get up, and I've got to tell you to go to work, and I've got to tell you to do everything, then until that person stops telling you, you're never going to be able to achieve anything. So that's the best piece of advice I've been given, is find it within yourself to be motivated. You've been blessed with a brain, heart for emotions, spiritual connection.
As fight night draws closer, the message from Joshua's camp couldn't be clearer. He isn't approaching this cautiously or halfway. He's committing fully, intent on removing every element of uncertainty when he enters the ring. Meanwhile, Jake Paul is equally deep into his preparation, ramping up his training with larger sparring partners and refining his movement as he prepares for the most demanding challenge of his boxing journey.
There's very clear paths to being able to beat Anthony Joshua. Something about him. I was supposed to fight Gervonta and then go and fight Joshua maybe next year. When Gervonta got into his whole fiasco, Joshua was one of the first names on the list. I would say he's definitely was surprised and maybe thought I was just all talk and not actually wanting to do it and just saying it for hype. I think that's what a lot of people think. when I say crazy things like fighting Canelo or Bud or Joshua. So I think he was actually surprised to get the deal done.
The belief is still there, but the training shows a clear awareness of what lies ahead. Rounds are being extended, defense is being sharpened, and everything centers on handling sustained pressure. As the final days tick away, Jake's camp has shifted away from noise and toward preparation, fully aware this isn't just another crossover spectacle, but a moment that could define how his boxing path is judged going forward.
I don't want to ask you about a prediction for Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua because I think a lot of people know what will happen. But is it dangerous for Jake Paul to be taking on a big heavyweight? You're a heavyweight, man. I wouldn't want to get punched by you here. Is it very dangerous for Jake Paul to be taken on?
I mean, no matter what it is, it can be an exhibition fight or whatever fight it is. When two guys step over that rope and they got bad intentions or they ready to throw blows, it's always bad. You got to understand that boxing is a dangerous business and the head is not meant to be hit in the first place. Doctors will always tell you the head is not meant to be hit, the body is not meant to be hit, the head is not meant to be, the brain is not meant to be
As Jake Paul's camp locks in during the final stretch, the broader boxing debate has intensified as well. On TalkSport, Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Adola Depot framed the matchup as a collision between spectacle and genuine consequence. With a fight just days away in Miami, the panel acknowledged its enormous commercial appeal while openly questioning how a bout of this nature received approval, pointing to Florida's history of sanctioning unconventional matchups. Jordan emphasized that Paul's position in the sport is driven largely by business power rather than competitive credentials, noting that while Jake undeniably attracts viewers and revenue, the skill and experience gap between him and a former unified heavyweight champion is impossible to ignore.
If AJ was fighting an area level heavyweight now, it wouldn't go beyond a round. I'd expect AJ to get rid of him, let alone AJ being 40 pounds heavier. The Americans look at AJ slightly different to how we do. They look at him as someone that's washed up. When he was in their country, he got beat by Andy Ruiz, who's not gone on to do anything. If Andy Ruiz went on to have this glittering career, then it maybe would have made that defeat look a lot bigger. They watched him recently get defeated by Daniel Dubois. They think he's done. So they don't have respect for him maybe the way we do over here. So Jake thinks he can win. I've been around Jake and he's delusional, but he's very strong-minded. So he thinks he can win, but there's no way this should go beyond 3 minutes.
Who's the A-side? Who walks into the ring first?
AJ walks into the ring first, so Jake Paul's the A-side.
White steered the conversation toward the business side of the sport, explaining why even top-level fighters are willing to take on matchups like this. Olau offered balance by acknowledging Jake Paul's influence on boxing's reach and promotion, especially through modern media platforms. Together, they agreed that beneath all the build-up, this remains a legitimate contest with genuine danger. They also noted that if Joshua fails to put Paul away convincingly, it could throw carefully planned future opportunities into question. From both their perspective, and likely from wherever fans are watching, the takeaway was simple. Curiosity will fuel massive interest, but once the opening bell sounds, boxing's harsh pecking order is expected to take over.
I heard you mention there are two behemoths involved here. How is Jake Paul a behemoth?
He's a behemoth in terms of his following and in terms of the pulling power he has. He is now, whether hardcore boxing fans want to admit this, he's one of the faces of boxing. And that's saying something. Like, the amount of people that put their hands up to want to fight Jake Paul when they realized the Gervonta Davis fight weren't happening. He can, like, Alexander Usyk says he wants to fight him. Yeah, like that's the one of the biggest names in the sport. There aren't that many people.
You love the sport, Addy, and you love working in it. Is it an uncomfortable truth, if you like, that Jake Paul is part of the top flight boxing scene?
Following the TalkSport debate led by Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Adola Depot, which focused on commercial weight and regulatory concerns surrounding Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, attention quickly shifted to reaction from fighters themselves. One of the strongest responses came from Michael Bisping. As predictions began circulating from well-known names favoring Paul, Bisping made it clear he couldn't buy into the idea of Joshua being stopped by a former YouTuber, even as he admitted how surreal the matchup feels in the first place. He referenced comment from figures like Tyson Fury, who publicly claimed he would side with Paul scoring a knockout, and Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, who pointed to Joshua's past stoppage defeats as evidence of potential weakness.
Well, we had Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, a tremendous world champion, one of the best boxers of his generation. Apparently, and I don't know if he's serious, but he says that he puts £1 million on Jake Paul to knock out Anthony Joshua.
Seriously? Jake Paul chins AJ, yes, they fight.
Are you serious?
100%. If they fight, I'm putting £1 million on Jake Paul.
And we know, first of all, that Tyson Fury doesn't really like Anthony Joshua. So maybe he's just saying that, maybe he's talking shit. Or has he really put £1 million on? Because if he has, I want to see that betting slip. And could you imagine if it came in? I don't know what the odds on Jake Paul knocking him out are, but they're going to be pretty big.
From Bisping's point of view, those predictions stretch belief, especially when weighed against Joshua's Olympic background, elite resume, and proven success against top-tier heavyweights. While he acknowledges that Paul has made real improvements, carries legitimate power, and deserves respect for accepting dangerous challenges, Bisping frames the growing confidence around Paul as a symptom of how warped modern boxing discourse has become, not a reflection of genuine competitive reality. He reinforces his stance by bringing the discussion back to fundamentals and risk, emphasizing that Joshua isn't just a recognizable name, but an experienced heavyweight with speed, timing, and fight-ending power Paul has never encountered. Bisping dismisses the idea that Joshua would need to fight cautiously or rely on movement alone, arguing instead that AJ has repeatedly proven he can stand.
Anthony Joshua to have to dance around the ring, get on his bike, play cat and mouse, dancing around, pick his shots and stick and move. No way. Remember what Anthony Joshua did to Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia? He stood there, toe to toe, waited for the opening, threw a right hand. It was like absolute lightning and the power was crippling. Every single right hand that Anthony Joshua threw, he dropped Francis Ngannou, who is a gigantic human being who does have truly one-punch knockout power, as we know.
I need to knock him out.
I like that.
So Mighty Mouse, love you, bro, but what on earth are you talking about? Let's carry on.
Addressing rumors that the bout could be staged or quietly softened by behind-the-scenes agreements, Bisping leaned on Eddie Hearn's firm denials and the legal realities of professional boxing. He stressed that the reputational damage and regulatory consequences would be enormous if anything of that nature were true. From his perspective, and likely from wherever fans are watching, the conclusion was straightforward. Despite the spectacle and non-stop debate, this is a legitimate fight with real danger involved. And if anyone is likely to suffer from underestimating the difference between hype and heavyweight reality, it won't be Anthony Joshua. When everything is taken together, Joshua's fully committed camp, Paul's intense but defense-focused preparation, the skepticism voiced on TalkSport by Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Aid Oladipo, and Michael Bisping's outright rejection of upset predictions, a clear narrative emerges. This event may be marketed as entertainment, but it rests on genuine heavyweight consequences. Respect is due to Jake Paul for taking the risk and putting serious effort into his boxing journey, but ambition and preparation don't erase years of elite experience, size advantages, timing, and fight-ending power.
Suggestions that the fight might be fixed, but also from people in the boxing world that look at this as a spectacle and look at this as a circus, a sideshow, a freak show attraction, and also something that is extremely dangerous. Because if this is a real fight, and apparently it is, so we'll go with that, there's a very good chance that somebody gets hurt. And I'm sorry to say, because I love Mighty Mouse, it ain't going to be Anthony Joshua.
I mean, we seen the Mike Tyson. That was all fun. That was cute. You know what I'm saying? It's fun and games and stuff. But now you're dealing with a real professional, you know. And so we'll see how it ends up. You know, like I said, I think it's...
From my perspective, and probably from where you're watching, this feels less like a 50-50 contest and more like a measure of how long Jake Paul can withstand the reality of heavyweight boxing. My prediction? Anthony Joshua by early stoppage. Not because Jake lacks courage, but because boxing is a brutal way of enforcing hierarchy. At the heavyweight level, those lessons come fast and without mercy. To sum it up, this fight sits at the crossroads of ambition, business, and raw heavyweight reality.